I am super passionate about launching this project with my sisters, Anxiety Society. Being someone that struggled with it for almost 15, it seems like years, it's something that I'm super passionate about, something that I felt very alone with before, and I just feel like having this amazing platform of Jadelynn Brooke and being able to share with so many girls the fact that you're not alone. Just because you have anxiety, you're not crazy. Like, there's nothing wrong. Anxiety Society says, I'm proud to have anxiety. I'm ready to fight the stigma of mental disorder and mental health. And I'm here and I'm proud. So really it all started like 15, maybe 16 years ago, from what we remember. And it was actually 9/11 when I feel like Brooke's anxiety was really triggered. She was in the 4th grade, right?
Yeah.
I
was in like 1st grade.
Yeah, or 2nd grade. And she, on the TVs in her classroom, came over that 9/11 was happening, and her immediate reaction was to think of our mom, who had been, had told her that she was our mom was traveling to Dallas on a plane that day. And so her immediate thought was, oh my gosh, where's mom? Is she okay? Like, all the questions.
And the big kicker was that her teacher wouldn't let Brooke call our mom. And so since like that moment, she was panicked. She didn't know if mom was on the plane or if she went or anything. And so it really triggered the worst outcomes in Brooke's head. And I think that's where it all
came from.
Yeah.
And once that was triggered, Brooke has really never been the same since.
So originally she was diagnosed with parental separation anxiety, and then that quickly changed into generalized anxiety as a whole. And so being the youngest, it was really hard for me to understand. I thought that she was just emotional or doing all, just being Brooke. That kind of like was the staple saying. But as I've grown up and like
just a worrier. Like, that's how I always saw her. It's like Brooke was always like a worrier. Like, she just was like kind of like always just kind of like tense, and it was just, and both her and I were like,
well, we're just very, and that's where I always related to Lexi, and that's where I think it drew a line between me and Brookie, but that wasn't, I just didn't understand it. And now that I'm older and I do understand it, it makes me reflect back on all the years that like she had it and I just wasn't aware.
So some examples when we were growing up of Brookie having anxiety that we remember is like, my mom would say, okay, see you after school, Brookie. And Brookie would be like, you're coming up at 4, right? You're picking me up at 4? And it was
a struggle because our mom being our mom, she was always like running late, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yes.
And so at 4:05, Brooke would jump to the worst conclusions. Like, mom got in a wreck, mom's in the hospital, who's gonna pick me up? Are they gonna tell me what happened? Just all of these huge, broad thoughts would go into her head so quickly, and it was just overwhelming.
So that's like how our minds work differently, right? So she would take something so small as to be 5 minutes late, and in her mind, it's this huge, big deal. She's already 50 steps ahead in her head, where we're like, hey, mom's always late.
Yeah, I mean, this is like logistically, was she gonna be there on time?
Yeah.
That's where our head was.
So it's something that we have grown up with that now we know every day that, that's just how Brookie
we just had to give her more information. I think there was a struggle of like, do we shield her from things so she doesn't worry? But it was actually quite the opposite. She needed to know all the information. She needed to be alerted 10 minutes in advance that she was going to be late. It was just trying to soothe those thoughts before they even happened.
So Anxiety Society is super, super important to Jade and I, not only to Brookie, because we're here to support her. What's sisters without supporting each other? Number one, we're sisters first, but like best friends probably way more than that. And to me, like, you have to come close as a family when there's something wrong. Like, if someone breaks a leg, you're not just sitting there watching them, you're helping them. And that's exactly how anxiety should be treated, we feel like. Like, the more you can sympathize with that person and understand, like, to us, like, we had to fully understand what is anxiety. It's a chemical imbalance. Like, she doesn't think things through like we do.
And I think the timeline is crucial. Like, I think understanding it not 15 years later, like, if I was able to understand it sooner, which is why we're doing this, I think it's so crucial that like people get understood now, like today. It's not about understanding this struggled for years. I think that's like a huge part of why we're doing
Well, and like also that you're not alone. Like there's so many girls out there that have reached out to us and saying, I'm struggling with anxiety, everyone thinks I'm crazy, but you're not. I mean, we're here to break the stigma, we're here to support you, and we're here to spread the message that anxiety society is not a bad thing. Everyone needs to come together, we're all in this together. And we're just super proud of Brookie for standing up and being so proud about it.
being the voice.
And being the voice. And it's more to me for us than it is for her because we're here, we've got her back. And we have everyone's back that's struggling and willing to wear it.
Today is such a big day, especially for Bob and I, for Brooke. And she did this on her own. And one night we were at home, just recently, and we find that she has done a live about her anxiety, something that we've kind of kept within the family for so long because we didn't want to share anything that she didn't want, shared with people. And so to be able to find the strength, do it within herself, and be so real and so honest about anxiety is completely moving. I think from a parent's perspective, it is really hard to see your child not doing well and struggling and wanting to do any and everything to make her better. This was new to Bob and I. We had never experienced anything like this. We have been very blessed with very, very healthy kids. And it was something new to us. And at the time, my mom, Hermina, was helping us take care of the kids because both Bob and I worked. And yeah, I don't know how we got without her. But we went through days and weeks of sitting outside her school, letting her know that we were in the car waiting for her in order for her to go to school.
Yeah, anxiety can be so crippling. Like, if you don't know what's going on. I mean, they took me to doctor after doctor after doctor trying to figure out what's going on. I think it was like the 6th doctor we saw.
Yeah, right.
That finally was like, here's a handbook.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Like, this is going on. And here's how we can help you.
And so many amazing, crazy thoughts went through our head. Like, is somebody at the school hurting her? Are the kids bullying her? Is a teacher being mean to her? We were trying to find a reason outside of what was really happening to justify her not wanting to go back to school and creating this thing that we didn't know at the time was called separation anxiety. And when she got diagnosed that, it made complete sense. We could go back over time very quickly about all the different stuff.
It was
times that
freeing,
it's happened.
getting a diagnosis, it's kind of scary at first because you're just oh my gosh, there is something wrong with me or whatever, but it's very freeing as well. It's this is not all in my head. What I'm experiencing is a chemical imbalance, and I think it gave y'all a lot of peace.
Absolutely, and I remember when we were at one of the doctor's office, and she sat in front of this bookshelf of just thousands of medical professional books. And she stood up, and after she talked to us over several hours, I guess, it seemed like hours anyways, she stood up and she turned towards the book, and Brooke was sitting in between Bob and I, and she said, Brooke, do you know why I'm getting ready to pick out a book? And Brooke said very, without hesitation, because that book is going to tell you what I have. And then that lady, that amazing doctor, female, amazing, powerful, girl boss like no other. Hauser, and Dr. Hauser, she went down and she opened up this book, and it was called Adolescent Separation Anxiety, and she went through all the bullet points, and Brooke hit all of them. I think there were 9 or 8, and I think Brooke hit 7 out of the 8. And so, at that point, we all just, collapsed and exhaled, and it was it was freeing for Brooke and freeing for us that there was something that was going on.
It was a plan.
So it was a plan.
So we got a plan.
Yeah. And the other thing I have to like give credit to my husband, Bob, Bob, her dad, is that I kind of freaked out. Like, she wanted to give her some type of medicine to help level off the chemical imbalance. And at that point, many years ago, that was a big stigma. Oh, the whole, you don't need to do that, for any type of mental health. And I remember my husband saying, if Brooke had cancer, if she had any other type of disease, we would say, what medication can we give her to make her better? So this is no different.
Therapy, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So we went into action.
We went into big time action, and knowing that this medicine was to give her a healthy mind for this incredibly intelligent and brave girl. So if you're out there and you have people that talk about it and or want to share it or have tried to hint at them, help them, because they do need help and they need to be okay saying, yeah, I have anxiety and I just need to deal with it. And then surround them with love and support and anything that you can do. But this girl right here is why we're sitting here. It was a very, very brave moment that she did on her own. And we're behind it. It's a super cute shirt. And this phrase is so Brookie. And I mean, it's perfect. So,
Anxiety Society.
Yeah.
We're proud.
Let's do it.
So one of my favorite parts about this design is actually the little reminder that's on the sleeve. So it's kind of just a small thing that I've always thought about whenever I'm struggling with anxiety, and it says, fear ends where faith begins. And I don't know about you guys, but my faith is where I found the most strength in struggling with this. I feel like where I put my faith into things, my fear starts to end. So one of the ways I would describe how you know you have anxiety, or the best kind of symbolism that I was given, is basically when you have anxiety, your fight or flight mechanism is in control. So to give you an example, if a regular person walked upon a bear in the woods, they would panic, right? You have to decide right then or there, are you going to fight the bear or are you going to run from the bear? And so people with anxiety struggle with the fact that there is no bear, but your fight or flight is in action. And so all the side effects you would have if you saw a bear in the woods, just a normal person. So like people start sweating, their heart's racing, their stomach hurts, they feel nauseous, their mind is just totally racing on how to get out of that specific situation where there is no bear. So it can be a really frustrating process, right? So it's like all of a sudden I'm having an anxiety attack. There is no bear to blame. So why am I feeling this way? I feel like I'm crazy, but you're not crazy. It's just your mechanism of fight or flight is going on in your head right then. There's nothing you can do about it. So I'm a continued student in this whole discovery of anxiety. So I'm always trying to learn. I'm not a teacher, so I'm not a doctor. And if you're experiencing any of this, definitely seek a doctor. I just want to share with you guys some of the things that I found to be helpful, but every single person's situation is 100% different. So a couple things that I found is distraction really helps me. So if I'm experiencing stress or anxiety and I don't know how to get out of the situation, to me it's like distracting myself. A lot of times I call Lexi and Jade and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm kind of freaking out. Can you please talk about Moxie? Important. That has nothing to do with what I'm experiencing. And a lot of times it calms me down. Another one I found is to hang out with all the tiny humans possible. So I love going to see Moxie or going to see my baby cousins. It's just like you're totally engulfed in what they're learning and being a part of their world that you kind of lose sight of everything you're stressing out with. And then a third would be the self-love club. I just made that up. I don't think it's actually a thing. But taking care of yourself, whether it's a little Walgreens mask, or whether it's get a massage, or whether it's taking a nap, or taking a bubble bath, which I do every single day of my life. It just gives you a little retreat from what you're experiencing. Hey, all of those TV marathon people, maybe crank on your favorite show, that helps too. But I think just most of it is just finding those things that you can retreat from the situation for, and even if it's just taking some deep breaths, putting in your headphones for a little bit, it's not weird to feel like I want to get away from the situation I'm in. That's your fight mechanism going through. So for me, I just want to have a little second, go into another room, have a little second to myself, put some headphones in, whatever, and then I find I have a lot of peace coming from that situation. And we just want to let y'all know we're here for you. We're standing up for anxiety. Yeah. same way, y'all. Support the shirt.
Yes.
Check it out and support those around you. Love y'all. Bye.